Coverage you can count on continues with Gina Glaros.
5.2 million people in the U.S. have post-traumatic stress disorder every year, according to the National Center for PTSD. And Fort Wayne native and veteran Ralph Malachias Gaskin has written a book on how he's dealt with PTSD. Good morning to you, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
First of all, tell me what Malachias stands for.
It's Hebrew, and it means God's messenger.
I just thought it was interesting.
Thank you.
You served for 17 combined years in the military. Can you talk a little bit about your service and what you did there?
Yeah, I did 9 years here in Fort Wayne with the Indiana Army National Guard on Cook Road with Charlie Company, 1st 293rd. I started out as a combat line medic, and then I transitioned over to infantryman. I did that for 9 years, and then when I got out, I spent 3 years just kind of drifting. Then I went active duty Army and was at Fort Stewart, Georgia with the 3rd Infantry Division. Where I was a combat line medic, utilized as an infantryman, and we did EOD escort in Iraq, and we did patrol-based duties, training Iraqi Army how to basically do presence patrols and things like that. And then I worked as a NCOIC of a level 2 combat hospital.
It's a whirlwind.
Yeah.
What was it like when you got back from Iraq?
The first deployment when I came home, it was just overwhelming because I was gone for 15 months, and then I got home and I was just blown away at how happy I was to be home, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was probably a good 6 months before I started noticing that there were issues and just things weren't right with me the way I felt.
What kind of issues?
My temper. I wasn't violent, but I would yell quick. I was quick to scream and yell. Angry for no reason, angry all the time, angry at people for just being people, you know, just people just being normal, and I'm just getting livid angry. And then right before my second deployment, the Army decided that, hey, you need to start talking to somebody. So,
at what point did you decide to write a book? Your book is called A Warrior's Garden.
Yes.
It's about how you dealt with PTSD. Why did you feel important to write a book?
Actually, it's funny. I was in the process of being medically retired, which took a very long time because working between the active duty and the National Guard medical records. And so as I was waiting, a friend of mine from Nashville was like, you know, hey, you should totally write a book about all the things that you're doing on your own. Because just traditional therapy for me was like not working at all. And I was like, you know what, all right, I'll give it a shot. And so I sat down and I just started documenting what I did, the things that I did, and how it worked for me. And it just kind of exploded into its own version of therapy for itself. So,
without giving too much away in your book, can you tell us some of the few things that you did to cope with PTSD?
There's 3 main pillars that the book is about, and there's a lot more that goes into it as well, but the 3 main pillars is my faith. I got deeper involved with my faith. I got deeper involved with writing music as a musician, and then I got deeper involved with organic gardening. And I think the gardening portion was huge because I actually got to, as a medic, you see, and as an infantryman and the combat jobs you do, you get to see things explode and people die and all these things happen. But as a gardener or a farmer, and you start working in the soil, you get your hands in the dirt, and you start creating life. And so you see the opposite of that. And I think that was really instrumental as to what was happening with me. So,
I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
And is that what the title of your book means, A Warrior Garden?
Actually, it's where I came up with the name for it. I was actually sitting at home, kind of figure out what I wanted to do with it, and I hadn't named it yet. And I realized that, you know, we as a warrior class, because it's what we are as veterans and as soldiers and Marines and airmen, is that we're a warrior class of people. Like, it's our job is we have chosen to be warriors. And so the one thing that we don't do very well a lot of times is transition back to the civilian sector.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to hold on to that moniker, that warrior name. So,
thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
If you're interested in reading A Warrior's Garden, it is available on Amazon. You can also like the page on Facebook. We'll be right back.